so it's not for kids.
What's your thing that you wanted to do?
Yeah, so I wanted to talk to you about something serious, Kenny. Sound the alarm type shit, all right? Helena was saying like, oh, I like the new logo you guys dropped. And yeah, shout out Josh for the sick logo. Anyway, Helena showed me what our podcast looks like on her app. And these were the 2 reviews that you can see in the app. Okay, these are on Apple Podcasts. The first review that you see is 2 stars, mid at best. They try so hard to be edgy and it comes across as sad, not worth your time.
I mean, they're not wrong.
I love the idea that we're trying to be edgy, like, and I really don't know what, like, I'm trying to think, like, what possible edge, like, we've, like, I'm the geekiest one on the show, and you called me a boba, you know what I'm saying? Like, where's the edge?
I think for some people, edge is like talking about like private parts.
Oh, okay.
So I could see where like it's like, oh, you know, sometimes we're like inappropriate.
They jumped in on Dick Cone and they were very incensed. I love the fact that it's 2 stars, though. I respect that. I love the like the gentility.
Well, they're being honest, you know?
Yeah.
I think that for me, edginess, and this is probably the case for you too, like edginess is more like when there's an effort to be controversial.
Yeah, to me, like edginess is like beatboxing like the Joker. Like that's edgy.
Right. Yeah.
You're on the razor's edge of society.
What's the other comment?
Yeah, and so the second comment, their title is Nothing to Add, 1 star. Title says it all. I don't rate podcast, but one episode drove me to drive me to write this review. It's like... Which, like, is honestly so true. Like, I think of this genuine, like, we're literally just 2 guys yapping. I think about this a lot. Yeah, all I could say to that in my mind was like, guy who's only ever listened to Welcome to Night Vale listening to his second podcast, these are just 2 idiots talking. Yeah, that's what most of them are like, buddy. I don't know.
In some ways, it's kind of nice that we've like elicited such a reaction, you know? I'm not somebody that subscribes to like any publicity is good publicity. I think that's bullshit. But like, it's kind of respectable that we've elicited this kind of reaction. To me, it tells me that we're not middle of the road.
We're polarizing. We're like Napoleon Dynamite.
We're polarizing.
Either you love it or you hate it.
Yes. I would take being a Napoleon Dynamite any day over being Avengers Endgame.
So what I'm gonna say about this, though, why it's a tragedy, is that this is it. There's a lot of 5-star reviews, which I really appreciate, but you got to leave a note because this is all you see if you pull us up. And I just think that's a little unfair to an award-nominated podcast like ours, you know?
It's kind of funny, though. Are you like making a call to action? Because
here's what you should do. Give us 5 stars and say the exact same thing. I don't rate podcasts, but one episode drove me to drive me to write this review. Say Nothing to Add, 5 stars. Title says it all. I don't rate podcasts, but one episode drove me to drive me to write this review.
I'm supportive of that. What's our average stars at on Apple Podcasts?
We're at 4.4. Totally fine. You know,
that's pretty good. Yeah, I like that. We don't need an army either. We just need like one person to do it.
Yeah,
this would be funny. All right, shall we start? Welcome to Shelf Stable, an award-nominated podcast celebrating board games that have stood the test of time. I'm your host, Kenny Katayama.
And I'm the other host, Tom Bowers. Today, the featured topic is cooled or warmed, or why. Why did you do either one of those things about the games? We're going to talk about some of the games we used to hate, now we love it. Maybe we loved it, now we hate it. Before we get into that, though, we're just going to talk about some stuff we've been playing kind of recently. Kenny?
Tom, I got to play Nokosu Dice from 2016. This is designed by Yusuke Matsumoto and published by Engames. Nokosu means leftover or saved for last in Japanese. Despite the word dice in the name, this is actually a trick-taking game. And it's an actual trick-taking game, not Tom's definition of a trick-taking game.
What does that mean?
The conceit of this is that you have a hand that is composed of both cards and dice. The cards and the dice work functionally the same way. You have dice of different colors, which represent different suits, and you have the pips on them, which represent the strength of the card. And then similarly, you have those cards in your hand. Where this gets interesting is that the cards are dealt out randomly, but you draft the dice out after they're rolled onto the table. And that means that you can strategically figure out what people have. Basically, the dice are known information about their hand, and also the dice can have repeat values. So even if you have a red 6 in your hand, there could be a rolled 6 on the table. That is a draftable card, and now there's 2 red 6s. And there's tiebreakers in terms of how you do the tricks and everything. The numbers go from 0 to 7. So there are cards that are stronger than any dice that can be rolled, and there are also cards that are weaker than any die that can be rolled. The second conceit, because that wasn't enough. The second thing is the Nokosu part, right? We talked about the dice, but here's the Nokosu. When you draft the dice, there's one die that's left over, and that die becomes trump. So let's say it's like a green 4 die. Now, any die and any card that has a 4 on it is trump. Any card that is green or any die that is green is trump. And to make that wrinkle of the leftover die even more complicated, you always leave over one die in your hand. You basically play until everybody around the table has one die remaining that they haven't played. That die is your bid. And I save this because this is like the best for last. You're kind of thinking about how many tricks you're going to win the entire round and trying to keep your options open so that when you play your final die, the one that you're left with is most likely how many tricks you're going to be left with. Because that's where the majority of the points come from. Yeah, you get a point per trick, but you also get 10 points per person that didn't meet their bid if you meet your bid. This is like,
wow.
This is probably like a lot to take in for people who are just listening to this. I would say to TLDR, it's one where you mix dice and cards and they're both the same thing, but they work in their respective ways. And then also there's a whole thing with the leftover die that is like really hard to play around, but is kind of fun and interesting. Where do I stand with this game? This reminded me more of Ghosts of Christmases than it did of Cat in the Box. They're all in the same territory of like, you need 2000 IQ to play this trick-taking game. And even then you're going to make a ton of mistakes and you're going to go, oh no, I miscounted my mana, and like crash out and flip the table over. It's one of those kind of trick takers. I think it leans more on the Ghosts of Christmases in that it's like too much for my feeble brain. Like Cat in the Box is like just the right amount where I feel like a genius and it's like you start to see the matrix form and you can read between the cards and stuff. Mm-hmm. When I'm playing Nokosu dice, I'm just like, I don't know. We'll just see where this goes. And then everybody's like laughing around the table because nobody knows what the hell they're doing. And I'm sure that gets less bad with time, but like we played this for a while and I still wasn't really seeing the lines, by the end of the many rounds that we played. Again, I think I'm just too dumb for this game. Or maybe it's not something I find stimulating. Mm-hmm. But like it gave me more like throwing my hands up in the air vibes versus like, oh, wait, hold on. There's something here, Mm-hmm. Like I wasn't getting to that flow state. Mm-hmm. I don't know what you could do, though. I just think this game's too smart for its own good.
It sounds like it could be a bit.
I have heard, though, that like people love this game. Like a lot of critics have like said like, oh my God, this is one of the best trick takers ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe you're not evolved enough.
Yeah, maybe I'm not evolved enough. Maybe I'm not built like other people who talk about games.
Yeah.
And I just need to go and I need to work real hard. Mm-hmm. I got to train for my Mensa exam so I can get in. And then I can go back and play Nokosu dice or something.
It's always like a classic when a game like just kind of leaves you going like, that felt mostly random. And like my only response is, well, have you tried getting good? It could just be a skill issue.
It's absolutely a skill issue in this game. Mm-hmm. I was commenting during the play that like, oh, this game is won or lost when you're drafting the dice. And I still stand by that. You look at your hand of cards, you start drafting the dice. Mm-hmm. I think there's definitely some play and counterplay that comes out of like when you actually play the hand. And there's a lot of flexibility, which I appreciate in a trick taker. Mm-hmm. But so much of it is like, oh, well, I know that you're not going to take this die, but you are going to take this die, which means you have this in your hand. And I'm just like, it's too much. There's somebody out here who's like, oh my God, this game's perfect. And for that person, I'm like really happy for you. But for me, like I'm here sucking my thumb, like wanting to go back to Cat in the Box. So yeah, that was Nokosu dice. I mean, it was cool.
This game might be great. I can't tell because I'm literally too stupid.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I feel like we're entering an era where where trick taking has kind of evolved to a point where it's its own subgenre of the hobby. Right now, I think we're still at the juncture in time where a lot of these are approachable. I think you can train grandma who's only ever played hearts to play Cat in the Box. I've literally done this. It's going to reach a point, and maybe this is like the sort of like the harbinger of this era. That's not the case. Like, it's like, oh, there's like required reading of trick takers now, almost like with the 18XX series where like, oh, don't start with this one. You got to play 1830 first to even be able to comprehend this bullshit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's where we're at with it.
I do think this is one of those where like, I don't think you would ever show this to grandma.
However, I love the concept of you get points for meeting your bid. The bid is the last card held in your hand, and the points you get are based on how many people fucked up, because that just, I think, creates the desire to engage in sabotaging other people's tricks, which is sometimes absent in trick taking.
No, that was definitely present.
We keep talking about Cat in the Box a little bit, and I think that there's some of that in Cat in the Box, but it can sometimes feel like it's just incidentally becoming cooperative when everyone actually kind of knows what they're doing.
I think there's definitely been moments in Cat in the Box where you force somebody to take an additional trick because they've met their bid.
Right. But the fact that that information is closed, I like that conceptually. It sounds like in this case, maybe it's a little hard to wrap your mind around. And I'm not just disparaging you. I mean like the average person.
I mean, it's fair. Can't wait for all the comments on Apple Podcasts that say Nokosu dice is for babies. Don't listen to these fools.
100%. Like the nothing to add was left by someone who like understands Nokosu dice perfectly. And they're like, I learned nothing from this.
That was Nokosu dice from 2016.
Okay, Kenny, time to pivot completely. I'm talking about a game that has nothing to do with cars, nothing to do with tricks, none of that nonsense. I'm talking about Skulk from 2019. This is designed by Prospero Hall and published by Mixlore.
Oh, okay. You're going to have to pronounce that again because it's Skulk, not Skull.
Correct. Skulk.
Yeah, because it's going to get confusing when you say it's like a bluffing game.
So that's the thing.
I know Skull.
there's a lot of DNA shared with the game Skull, which I'm generally a fan of. It does the same exact core thing, which is just lie all the time, thegame.com. In fact, I think this one's maybe a little bit more punishing than Skull for people who believe in telling the truth. Like the game is very simple. Let me explain it real quick. There's this little salt shaker skull you get to shake some marbles inside of, and then you open its mouth secretly and look inside, and then you tell your opponents what color you saw. You have 4 options. Either everyone says, yeah, you're good, I believe you, or one of them says, I don't believe, and then it's like challenge. Then you show them the ball, and if you were telling the truth, you get rewarded. If you were lying, then you die, literally in the game. And then if you lied and everyone believed you, you get a double reward, basically. So you are incentivized to bluff when it advantages you, but it's not required per se. I'm not sure how I feel about it overall, but
is that it?
That's it. Like, that's just straightforward. Like, look at orb and like make a lie. There's 2 orbs in there that throw all of that off. One's black, one's white. And so they're outside of the 4 other colors, and they kind of mix things up a little bit. But it's not like there's not that much going on, really. I think like we got into talking about this when we had Daniel Newman on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got to play this one. It looks interesting, like, or something. I probably said that just based on like the appearance of this, because like it's a little skull. Like you can hold it, you can walk around and be like, yeah, I'm like a guy who holds a skull. Like I don't know, and I think also the fact that it's Prospero Hall. But the more I've played Prospero Hall's games, the more I'm like, man, they're a one-hit wonder, aren't they? Like, what great game have they made that isn't Pan Am? Am I missing something?
The Fast and Furious game. I don't know. I haven't played it. They made Horrified, Disney Villainous, Jaws.
I haven't played Villainous, but based on my experience of Horrified, I'm not exactly like shooting it to the top. Yeah. Horrified is fine. Right. I don't know what to tell you. Pan Am's a great game. Skulk with a K is not, and I think I might be closing the chapter on my interest in Prospero Hall's games.
Oh, that's too bad. Sounds like Sulked.
Sulked, I think.
Tom, I got to play Root from 2018, designed by Cole Wehrle, published by Leader. Full disclosure, Cole Wehrle has been on the show before. Root, a very little known game about woodland animals murdering each other in the forest. We've talked about it in the past. It's pretty good to bring this up in this episode because this is a game I've definitely warmed up to. I had played this before and I thought it was interesting. It was more interesting as an experiment and something to study versus a game to play. But Taylor is just such an excellent teacher and such a good like hyper for this game that she really won me over in terms of the play again. And now I really like Root. So I've played Root a number of times since. And this time I got to play a new faction. I got to play the Lord of Hundreds, which is the rats. And their thing is they're super aggro and they multiply pretty easily and they just want to wreck everything. And they only get points if an area is completely void of other units. Because a lot of the factions, they get points by coexisting or even they get points by just damaging things. Lord of Hundreds just wants to wipe areas clean. It was a lot of fun. It was really funny because when Taylor explained how to play the Lord of Hundreds to me, she said, one of the best IDs that you can pick for the Lord of Hundreds, because you switch every turn, is Relentless. You want to make sure you don't lose your Relentless card. Literally, turn 2, lose the Relentless card. And I was just like, okay, what do I do now? And it wasn't even my fault. She was just like, you'll be fine. But like, and then immediately after that, I like overextend myself and invest like multiple turns worth into something that like someone else just destroys. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, I'll take these free points, I guess. It was an absolute nightmare of an early game, but I was still enjoying it. And then it ended up being super close. I think I was like a point away from winning. And if I had done some calculations a little differently and realized something, then I might have won. Who will say? Yeah, I had a swell time. For those who are like super root pilled, played the Lord of Hundreds. There was Corvids at the table, the moles, and the frogs, the newly released frogs. So new expansion alert, I guess. Yeah, I thought the dynamic of those 4 factions was really great. I guess I didn't explain Root. It's like an asymmetric coin adjacent war game where some factions are like the counterinsurgents while other factions are warring or aggressive. And they each completely work differently. I wouldn't even say there's much of an overlap. And I think that's some of the charm, right? I think the game just has like these really, really unique factions that somehow all work within their ecosystem. I continue to be really impressed with Root. There's just like so many little things that you start to notice of just like, oh, I didn't realize that was going to work with that way. Mm-hmm. And I think it has to do with the way that the factions are designed, like the philosophy around them. Like they're created to evoke certain feelings and have certain systems in and of themselves, as opposed to figuring out how they lock together, or at least that's the vibe that it gives. So it feels like a living world. It doesn't feel like, okay, well, you know, you can pick to be the really econ heavy faction, like modern Euro designs and things like that. It very much feels different from other games that have asymmetric factions in that sense. The only one I can think of that really compares, I would say, is like Sidereal Confluence.
It is one of the most games of all time. I love the economic simulation. I mean, overall, like I think I've like I got really hype about hegemony back in the day, and I feel like Root does a better job than hegemony at actually exploring a bunch of different political ideologies through game mechanics, which I do find very intriguing. Although it doesn't really explore how any of these factions would sort of operate a world in which they have won. I guess like I'd be more interested in like the post-revolution bureaucracy of the
You want the sequel to Root.
Yeah, like I need Root 2, you know, the game where they like have to actually run the country now. That would actually be very interesting for me.
That was Root from 2018.
Okay, Kenny, will I also be playing games from 2018, such as Dinosaur Tea Party? This one was designed by Rob, I almost called him Rab Daviau, and J.R. Honeycutt and Justin D. Jacobson, published by Restoration Games.
Yeah, in classic Restoration Games fashion, this is a reprint of Who's It? Who's It from 1976.
Hell yeah.
They got rid of the problematic caricatures and made it dinosaurs.
You taught me how to play this, and you talked about this on the show before, and I don't think I ever gave my thoughts on it.
We talked about it as a recommendation for replacing Guess Who on our live episode, where we replaced all the mass market games.
Okay, that is where I know this from then. Yes, because I do remember that happening, and so in that sense, I was kind of hyped for you to break this out. So you broke this out. It was me and two of my kids who were 5 and 8, respectively. It was fine. I think the biggest hang up that I had while playing this was the player count and having to remind the 5-year-old that it was her turn. No, it's still your turn. No, you have to pick what you're doing, like, and then guide her through basically how the game worked every turn. That definitely hampered the experience, shall we say. Looking past that, as I think I'm capable of doing, this game is like, I don't know that I co-signed the recommendation that this replace Guess Who, unless you are a sort of like a Connections style daily player. Like if you're a daily player of the New York Times Connections, you'll love this game maybe as like a head-to-head game.
I'm glad you brought up the 4-player rough setup, because I agree. I think this game was an absolute slog with multiple people. Mm-hmm. I have played it at 2, and it's strictly better than Guess Who.
I would agree with that. That's what I was basically getting at, which is like head-to-head, especially with another adult, this game is probably incredible. If you play it with a child who doesn't have ADHD, it's probably also like a totally normal time. I guess like my biggest hang up in a way is that like it doesn't have the clickety-clack aspect, and it doesn't have a certain kind of curb appeal that Guess Who has even still today, and a simplicity. And I like the complicatedness as somebody who like has a prefrontal cortex, but I feel like it would only be interesting for me to play it again if I were going head-to-head against another adult, and I don't even know that it's like really worth that much effort.
I don't even want to try it with an adult. I just think this game is like meant to be played with kids.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm sure you could do like a fun, like, oh, well, I know that I can rule out, oh, this is the optimal play I can make right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm picturing is like the straight up Death Note music type, you know, like experience. I could maybe see some enjoyment in that. But again, you have to be like the kind of person that plays Connections on the daily.
You have to also be like not a board gamer, I feel like, because otherwise you'd be like, I want to play all these other 2-player games that I always want to get around to, but I don't have time for.
Yeah, that's the other problem. You'd be like sitting there like, why am I playing this and not Radlands? The fuck is wrong with me? Like, you know,
yeah, exactly.
So, that's the thing is that if it's in a weird spot where like, I think it works as a graduation from Guess Who, but it's like, since when is Guess Who the gateway game? Like we need to, you know what I mean? Like when are you running into someone, they're like, oh yeah, favorite board game, Guess Who? And you're like, well, guess what? I have a gateway game for you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not going to be like someone's stepping stone into the hobby. And where it targets kids, I think it does like a mid job.
I think that's the only part I don't 100% agree with you. I mean, my daughter has played the Guess Who Disney Princesses and has also played Dinosaur Tea Party, and she's gravitated more to Dinosaur Tea Party.
Okay.
So I know that's just one data point, but I mean, those people are out there.
5,000 IQ Mensa select daughter, I guess. Like,
I don't think so. I don't think it's that complicated for kids. If anything, it's kind of easier because you don't have to come up with your own attributes. They're like on the card for you.
No, I see that.
In Guess Who, you see a bunch of Disney princesses. As a kid, you're like, I don't know. Is it Belle? And it's like, no, you need to ask something more general so you can like rule people out. And then she like thinks about it and she's like, is she married to a beast? And I was like, well, actually, we don't actually know. But like,
you're like, the marital status is indeterminate based on the circumstances in which the film was made.
In the Beauty and the Beast 2, which is not canonical. No, like eventually she started saying like, do they have a yellow dress? And then it'd be like, no. And then she'd like rule out like two people, you know? But like with Dinosaur Tea Party, it's like super easy because it's like, there's literal icons on the bottom for kids to be like, oh, does the dinosaur have spots? And you know that that's like a defining characteristic.
Yeah, you know what? Now that you're saying all this, I'm like, you got me. You convinced me. It's get rid of the copy of Guess Who you still have. Go out and buy this game. That's where I'm ending.
Quick 180.
Because like you're right, I kind of forgot about like the little tiles that like help you keep track of like what the fuck's going on, and I'm like, I was overthinking about like kids maybe not being able to sort of comprehend what's going on. It was totally fine. I mean, I think even my 5-year-old was able to get a guess off and like correctly identified someone's dinosaur at some point. Yeah. There's some nice shakeups in it. I like the ones that have like the hidden ability thing going on that messes with the logic. I just don't know how it plays like adult v adult, and I'm curious to experience it like that. And
I mean, I can bring it if you want to try that. Yeah, I'll be playing Lost Cities with that valuable time.
I see how it is.
This Dinosaur Tea Party from 2018.
100 games to play before you die.
Okay, Kenny, it's time to talk about the 100 games that you're required to play if your name is David Attenborough and you're about to turn 100 years old. And game number 73, I can say that because he already did it, is Diplomacy.
Congrats.
Congratulations, David. Good job. Do you wonder if it's like him and Dick Van Dyke now? They like hang out and they play these games?
Well, this is one that they're likely to have played, actually.
It's true. The reason Kenny said that is because from 1959. It's designed by Allan B. Calhamer. Hopefully I'm saying that name right. And published by Avalon Hill. Kenny, why the frick is Diplomacy on the list?
Diplomacy is a classic. Like Acquire is one of those ones that perhaps people have heard of. Perhaps people have played, even if they're not board gamers. There's not a lot of those on this list. Diplomacy, you might think it's here because it's like a war game, but I think it's like more than that, right? Because we already have some area control-y stuff on here. I think Diplomacy is here to be diplomacy. It's one of those games that provides an experience that is really true and unique to itself. The only games I can think of that really fall into a similar territory are like the Game of Thrones board game, but that's literally Diplomacy with additional mechanics. So what you do in Diplomacy is you secretly move your pieces around Risk style and they simultaneously resolve on this big map. There's no rolling of dice like in Risk. It's literally 1 for 1. So if somebody moves their army into your spot and they have 2 people and you have 1, they've taken over your spot. The only way to move forward in Diplomacy is to screw people over because it is so zero-sum, because it is deterministic. So really the game falls into the spaces in between turns. People like to play this in a way where they literally take 30 minutes in between a single turn to just go and have their own negotiations and things like that. It's like a day affair for some people where they're just going to be like yelling at each other. There's also online games of this that are played over the course of multiple months. It's a game that requires like extreme resiliency from the people playing it. Common saying is Diplomacy is the fastest and easiest way to lose friends. Because I don't think there's ever been a game of Diplomacy where everybody was just like, haha, what a fun, swell time. Like people eventually get butthurt in this game. Even if they're like, oh, I don't really get mad in games. I just can't. I can't get mad. It's like, this is the game to test them. to see if that's really true.
Yeah.
It's just such a mean game.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it's for everyone, but it's really, truly kind of a unique experience. And I think it's definitely one to try out before you die.
I've played Diplomacy like once about 8 billion years ago, and I think I just got fucked pretty much instantly. I'm really bad at this type of game where it's strictly political. There's nothing to do except like allegedly try and be trustworthy. Nobody trusts me like baseline, you know, and I've run into this multiple times throughout my life. And so I've just kind of realized that the political strategy games are probably not really where I need to be because I'm too much of a wild card, I suppose. So I haven't really tried to come back to this one. It does fascinate me conceptually.
I'm in a similar spot. I really don't want to ever play this game ever again. But like I am fascinated by it and I respect it.
And I mean, it paved the way for like the Game of Thrones board game, which like if I was going to play Diplomacy, I'd be like, well, why aren't we just playing Game of Thrones? Because like a lot of the same game is there.
That was Diplomacy. Don't ever trust Tom.
I wouldn't. Yeah, honestly. Okay, it's time to stop talking about the diplomatic relationships of the diplomats and just start talking about the kind of stuff that we normally talk about week to week. I totally ran out of steam there, tripped over myself. Time to get into the real meat and potatoes of the episode, the part of the podcast people come back week after week to actually listen to. And that's the main topic of this week's episode. This week's episode, we're talking about stuff we stopped giving a shit about, stuff we started giving a shit about, stuff we cooled on, stuff we warmed on. Why'd we change our minds?
There were like some easy picks we could have gone with for this. So I'm going to highlight those because we've already talked about them. I wanted to pick something that I haven't talked about. Cooled on, obviously Hanabi. I think more I was gaslit into thinking that Hanabi was good for many years. And then I finally found my true self. Blood Bowl, I should say Blood Bowl Team Manager, not Blood Bowl. Just, it ended up being too long. I lost patience for that kind of game. But the one that I wanted to talk about was Spyfall. Now, I don't think I've ever talked about Spyfall on this. I was a huge Spyfall fan back in the day. I definitely had like a social deduction phase. And I feel like if Blood on the Clock Tower had come out during that phase, maybe I would have appreciated it more. I still respect Blood on the Clock Tower, but like it's definitely not a game that I have a great time playing. Spyfall falls into this territory of like, you're lying, you're trying to deceive people, you know, you're trying to do all the tricks and I don't know. It's like back then I really liked it because it really puts you in the hot seat and you all of a sudden have that moment of like, oh shit, you know, I got to figure out how to make everybody trust me. And when it works out, you feel so good. But other times, you know, you fall on your own face and everybody laughs. And it's also pretty enjoyable if you are one of the good people and you're just watching the spy sweat or trying to figure out who the spy is. That's all the things I associate with enjoying this game. But with time, what I've found is that this game is kind of just a pain in the ass. Let me explain why. There's like a very, very fiddly setup to it for like what is essentially the same game playing out every time. Because everybody always like, oh, you have to like explain, like, don't look at these cards, and then you take them out, and then you have to like make sure you don't put that baggie back in and make sure the baggie is set up correctly for the next game and all that. That's annoying to start with. But then after that, like every game has like the same flow. And I almost feel like there are other games that do this better that don't have this annoyance. Chameleon and Fake Artist and even Insider, which is also another Oink game. But on top of that, like, it's just the same thing over and over. It's like, oh, are you lying? No. Oh, I think they're lying. Ah, you got me. Oh, are you lying? No. I was telling the truth, and then you didn't believe me. And like, that's like every game of this. And yeah, you can only do that so many times before you're like, I'm over it. I don't think it's bad, to be clear. I just think like it has a shelf life. It expires after you've played it enough.
Mm-hmm. I kind of think like in general, like a lot of these games were like, you know, it's a Chameleon style game.
Yeah.
Great for TikToks, like just kind of, they're all substitutable for each other. They're all just kind of like, okay. No one has iterated on this yet where being the chameleon is like actually an interesting role.
Yeah, I think Insider probably gets the closest. Even Insider, I was like, finally one that has infinite mileage. And then I kind of started getting tired of it after a while.
Right.
It's funny because I don't feel this way about the Resistance.
That is crazy to me.
And to a certain extent, One Night Werewolf too. The only reason I can think is because in Resistance, I don't know if this is actually true or not, but there's, to me, the appearance that there's enough logicking out that can take place in a short amount of time where you actually feel like there's substantive things to be figured out, to be sussed out, or to play. Whereas like these other games that we were just talking about, they feel like they've condensed it a little too much. And then One Night Werewolf, that's on the other end. It's just so damn short. And also there's just chaos. So you're just like, oh, whatever, let's just mess around. They have like a different play experience.
I think for me, like One Night Werewolf ends up taking the cake. It's like exactly the kind of situation I'd want to be in with a game like this, where like I don't have to burn my brain like really trying to figure it out. It's just like a point and shoot type of experience. The Resistance, I feel the opposite way. Like I don't even want to do that much work when I'm trying to play what is like ultimately basically just like, is my bullshit detector working today? Like that's the only question these games are asking me most of the time. And One Night Werewolf hits the sweet spot for that. But yeah, I'm mostly with you is what I'm trying to say. Like I think I'm also cooled on Spyfall a bit.
I think it's a game that is extremely good the first 20 times you play it.
Right.
And then after that, it has diminishing returns, which is like, there's plenty of games that I've never touched more than 10 times. So like mad respect to that.
I like you reached for 10. Like you couldn't just say like, there's some games I haven't even played twice. Like
this is like the how many plays of games you do a week question all over again. 8.
Yeah. There's some games I haven't even hit my like minimum of 5 plays of. So,
that's crazy. Everybody has always played all the games they own at least 5 times, right?
Obviously. Yeah, I got one, I think, here. So the Lost Ruins of Arnak. This one's weird because like I've cooled on it, quote unquote, as in every time I look at it on my shelf, I feel basically nothing but a sense of shame and guilt and almost no desire to do anything about it. And the funny thing is, like, I'm like, I really just don't even know why. Like, I could probably whip this out and I might instantly be like, I love it again. But I think like the sad reality is that I invested in an insert for this game, right? And
it's the insert's fault.
It kind of is, because my thinking at the time was that I was like, oh, the insert's going to make it so much easier to set up. Then I'm going to whip it out solo all the time. I'll like play this in paper solo like none other. And then as soon as I put the insert together, got everything in it, the insert makes putting the game away more annoying than like pulling it out and setting it up. And mostly just because like the insert that I got didn't come with a how to put this back in the box. It's like a puzzle. I have to relearn every time.
Should take a picture.
Well, sure. Well, but like it's layered. That's the real issue. It's like there's
you take a picture of the top layer, you take the layer out, you take a picture of the second layer.
This is why I need you, Kenny. Yeah, you're like a genius. No wonder they're thinking of putting you in Mensa.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not smart enough to play Nokosu dice. Let's not go too far, but...
Well, nobody can do that, okay? Like, I should do that. I should do exactly that and tape it to, like, the bottom of the box because, like, it's ridiculous. I don't know if that's my only hang-up, though. I think it's just, like... It's like I also know that it's a long-ass game, and also I play-tested one of the expansions online for a bit and realized I'm, like, just completely outclassed. Like, I just have no fucking idea what I'm doing if I play this game. And, like, kind of like, even if I played it solo, the knowledge that, like, I suck ass at this game is, like, still going to haunt me. So it's, like, all these things at once. It's a real tragedy.
This is, like, classic Tom of, like, if I can't be the best, what's even the point?
It's like, I don't even, just so many things going against it for no reason. It's like, this is like the embodiment of my neuroses is this fucking game right now. So that's That's where it's at.
The insight I am getting is if there's ever a game that you're obsessed with that I really don't want to play with you anymore, I can just be like, oh, I heard that you're not even in the like bottom 5 percentile in terms of skill on this game.
I think that's fine if someone told me that, but if what you actually did was showed up and consistently crushed me 3 games in a row, I think I would stop playing.
Okay.
I'd be like, why waste my time? Like, we know the outcome. And you're having a bad time doing it. It's like what I said I would do with Food Chain, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I've talked about this one before, which is Jaipur. Like, setting it up is just more of a pain in the ass than it ought to be for a game that should be fast and epic. We've talked about concept before too, both of us. Like, our group has overplayed this into oblivion. It's just sort of exhausting to even think about playing this game at this moment in time.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's like the game did nothing wrong.
Concept at this point feels like a game that somebody would play on a bus on a field trip.
On a bus on a field trip. Yeah.
Like 20 questions or something. Like, it's become like 20 questions, which is like,
yeah,
that's sad because I think it's significantly better than 20 questions, but it's gotten to that point.
I think Concept also works best as a daily puzzle. Concept is a pre-Wordle game. In post-Wordle, they need a website that just renders a concept board and like you have to figure out what it is, right?
I like that. We talk about like how our group beat Concept into the ground, but we haven't played Concept in like 3 years.
I know. It's because all our friends like actually listen to the show and they're like, they don't want to play Concept. The last one, and this is another one I believe we've talked about before, is Whistle Stop. When I had owned this game, I was very hype on it. I was like, this is the perfect middleweight game. And then I hadn't played it in years, and I didn't really know why. I pulled it back out and read the rules and was like, what the fuck does this mean? And then I read a forum where like some like guy was arguing back and forth with the developer. He was just arguing back and forth with the developer about the clarification of this one fucking rule that the whole game basically hinged on, and it still felt no clearer by the end of it. It's a real shame. Like, they just need to issue a FAQ and it'll probably be fine. But even then, it's like there's this like it's this big clunky setup, and it's like, for what? Like, I'd rather I'm just gonna play Carcassonne in next time instead.
Games we've warmed on.
Yeah, let's get out of the Downerville. Go to Upperville.
I've previously talked about Ginkgopolis. Ginkgopolis was one that kind of ushered in one of my New Year's resolutions, which was to not be so quick to judge, because I feel like we didn't even finish the first game of Ginkgopolis, but having gone back to it and played it multiple times, I'm like, this game's great. It's just like a little hard to wrap your head around, first of all, how to play it, and then second of all, what's good about it. But once you get past that, like, it's kind of a delight to play. And then Res Arcana. Res Arcana was one that I played multiple times and was like, this is mid. Come on, Tom Lehman, you can do better than this. And then I played it with the draft, and the draft just like opened it up. And I've played it many times since then. And it's a game that honestly shouldn't even be recommended to play with random cards.
Yeah.
It's a nothing burger game when you play with a random set of cards. It becomes like so interesting when you play with a draft, in my opinion. Having things cleaned up and playing in a way that where everything works together and you've kind of assembled the perfect engine, that's really where Res Arcana shines.
I want to try it out Winston draft style. I think that would be interesting.
That'd be cool. The one I really want to drill into here that I haven't talked about is Heroescape, because I've kind of mentioned in passing, I think Heroescape is a really good entry point, or it's like a good game for kids to get into miniature battle games. Heroescape has really aged like wine. And here's why. People were judging it as too simplistic or kind of just a whatever minis game for kids when it came out. But the amount of miniature skirmish that it gets out of its system, while also having it tiered at like completely new to these kind of games for kids level to like something akin to an actual minis game, but with a little bit more streamlining of rules. I think it's just like an incredible entry point that captures a lot of what I like about miniature skirmish without all the stuff I hate, which is like the measuring and like the unnecessary rules and kitting and stuff like that. Like I want to build an army, but I don't necessarily want to read like multiple books and codexes and things like that. Codices? Is it codices for the plural?
Yeah.
Heroescape, the pure bare bones. It also has like an interesting height advantage system with the dice roll. I think that's the one biggest weakness with Heroescape is just the dice rolling is just a bunch of D6s. You probably want either a more interesting or a less random system for how to resolve combat. But I know there's some mods that people have made to resolve the combat but maintain the same stats. This is a game that I was able to play still a long time ago, but like much more recently than when I played it as a kid. I still own all my stuff, and I just like, outside of the toy factor, right? It's just a solid skirmish game. And it's probably the only one that I want to play nowadays.
I don't think I've ever played an official game of Heroescape.
I don't know how you would feel about it. And there's probably some nostalgia at play too. I think worst case scenario, it's inoffensive. Best case, you're like, oh, wow, I'm kind of surprised that this is as good as it is kind of thing. It's another Rob Daviau design.
Oh, okay. We love Rab around here.
Rab Daviau.
It kind of reminds me and leads me into one of the ones I was going to say next, which is Catan. If you are a listener of this show for a while now, you will be like, what are you talking about? You guys glaze Catan to oblivion. Correct these days, but pre-podcast, Tom, if you asked me like 8 years ago to say something about Catan, I'd be like, fuck that game. Like, for real, I
really
hated
that
it.
Strong? Wow.
There was a period, I think, where I was just like genuinely like, I can't stand Catan. Get those dice away from me. They never roll in my favor. I never know what to do with my resources. I can never build more than 3 roads, and I always get jammed. No one trades the fucking brick to me. Blah, blah, blah. I'm sure like a lot of people hit that phase. They play Catan for the first time, and they're like, whoa, I've never played anything like this before. What the heck is going on? And then they find out about other games, and they play something like Race for the Galaxy, or they play like fucking, I don't even know, like they play Food Chain Magnate or something, and they're like, why would I ever go back to Catan? I need my determinism. I need my every frame of painting, player boards, my fucking plastic miniatures with 1,000 tentacles on it. Like, I need my 600-pound box that recreates my favorite video game. Like, people drop Catan when they get into this hobby and they think they've like moved on, and they like spit on Catan. They hate this game online. I feel like the board game geeksters. The geeksters dunk on Catan unfairly so often. Mm-hmm. That's why now we're trying to sort of correct course just a tad and be like, come on, guys. Catan still kind of slap. It's fun. Like, it's interactive. It has a lot of the hallmarks of Euro games. It's kind of inspiring the designs we're seeing today, which are kind of coming back to this high interactivity, but not necessarily meanness in its interactivity. It stands out. It holds up, I think, in the wake of everything. And it's still on shelves today. I'm not saying that like just because it sells and like makes money that therefore it's good. It goes deeper than that, at least in my experience. And it's like I'd gladly sit down to a game of this again today, which is not something 10 years ago, I don't think I would be saying that for whatever reason. Something just has like shifted or clicked. It's almost like the same thing that happened that made me suddenly realize that like beer actually kind of tastes good in a certain way. Or like black licorice for you. You had this with black licorice.
Yeah,
it's like that exact same phenomenon. It's like you hit that phase where you're like, oh, I'd rather eat anything else. And then all of a sudden you're like, hold on. All those old people were right.
I think black licorice is a good analogy.
It's exactly like that. It's like black licorice. Okay.
It's like a black licorice that tasted good at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know what? It's like a good and plenty.
Sure.
Like you eat the candy coating on the outside and you're like, yeah. And then you get to the licorice, you're like, oh, what the fuck is this? And then you like keep chewing on it and you're like, actually, maybe this is good.
It will just awaken in you. You're listening to this right now. I know you're out there and you're thinking, that'll never happen to me. I'll never become a Catan glazer like these idiots. These guys don't even know how to play Nokosu dice. and you're going to be driven to drive to leave a comment about it. But you watch, okay, 8 years from today, mark your calendar, because you're going to wake up and you'll be like, you know what sounds nice right now? A good game of Catan. I think that's my prediction.
You heard it here. I mean, I agree with you. I'm not this. Yeah, I never hit the I hate Catan kind of vibe. There was definitely like I'd rather play something else. That's about as low as I got. But like coming back to it with you, like relatively recently, I was like, dang, this game kind of slaps, you know?
Yeah, exactly what I said. It's weird. Like, you know, at this point, I feel like we've almost talked about it for too long, admittedly. Like, I can hear the groans and the tired noises coming from our audience right now.
It's our new Monopoly deal.
But all I can say is, like, I was right there with you. I was leaving the comments, like, on Board Game Geek, just like, who still plays this? Like, come on, play anything else. There's better games. And it's like, oh, you like Catan? You know, like, it's time for the Catan killer, you know? The same way people talk about Monopoly, I was talking about Catan.
The one that drives me nuts is sometimes people say, I'd rather play Monopoly again than play Catan. And that is just like, okay, now you're just rage baiting.
Yeah, me, who famously like glazed Monopoly when we compared it to other games from Walmart, like I would not be playing Monopoly over Catan. Just to clarify.
I think it's one thing if you're not there with us. It's another thing if you're like, I would rather play Monopoly to Catan. Mm-hmm. I think you need to take a hard look in the mirror.
You got to ask yourself, why are you being so edgy?
Exactly.
It's coming across as circle.
Yeah.
Are there any games that you feel like you aren't actually sure if you've cooled or warmed? Like you need to find out. You could see it going either way. Because I have one. I don't know if you have any.
I feel like I need to play Santa Monica again.
Absolutely. That's actually a good answer. Okay, let's get the Family Feud sound effect in here. Ding! Ding. Like, because I'm also putting that on the board for myself. I would play that with you.
Yeah, I thought that game was really fun when I first played it. And then I was like, okay, this is just in the whole Cascadia flat out category of like get a bunch of points by putting stuff together, which is like, that's not bad, but it's just like I've played a lot of those since then. Yeah. But now I'm like, am I being too critical? Do I have to go back and revisit this? Because I know there's like a few people who've been talking about it in the social media. I think Dan Thoreau was talking about how Santa Monica is delightful.
I would play it again with you. And you know what? Best case scenario, this is how I predicted it going down. We both play it and you go, yeah, it kind of came out like I thought. It's just sort of mid. And I go, this game's lovely. I'll take it off your hands. Like, that's how I see it happening. I feel this way with Hive. I used to be huge on Hive. I carried it with me everywhere. I think I'd still enjoy playing it again. And I wonder if I would like love it more or if I'd break it out and be like, nah. Because I used to love Hive and this was kind of like pre my chess era. You know, I did do the chess thing. Now I'm playing like these GIF project games. And so far I'm enjoying Devon. Hive is in that realm, right, of like two-player abstract, and I suspect that it holds up surprisingly well, but it kind of has a similar problem to chess, which is like no one's going to want to play Hive with me because I will probably crush them.
By the way, they have Yinch and GIF and Devon on PGA.
Oh, hell yeah. Let's play Devon right now. Let's stop recording and do that.
Okay. Well, I think that's the end of the show.
I think that'll do it this week, actually, though. For real. You know, tell us in the comments. Tell us in the reviews on Apple Podcasts. If you're listening to this on YouTube, if you're listening to this on something where you can leave a comment, please do so. Tell us. We actually do want to know. Or you can email us at shelfstablecast@gmail.com. That's going to do it for this week's episode. Thank you so much to everybody who listens to this. Thank you to Michael, Tyler, Devon, and Josh of the Boise RainBeaus for your cool segue music. And thank you to Bonehouse for letting us use your song Raw as our opening theme.
If you're loving the cast, share it with a friend on Reddit on BGG. This is available in the show notes. And if you like what we're doing, you can consider subscribing on Patreon. Tom, we have a special guest next week. We got to figure out what the topic is.
Next week, we're going to talk to somebody real special about some of their gaming choices that they've made in their life. And we'll get into it then.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.